Hi, folks. My name is Brian Johnson, and welcome to another episode of Freedom of Being, Freedom to Be Free. I'm here in Urban Legend in Hamilton, New Jersey. And each week we like to try to talk to you and have a discussion, a conversation about things that are probably on everyone's mind, kind of a universal understanding of what's going on with us and how to take the things that we feel that are negative within ourselves and move them on to a better place of positive energy that we can constructively transmute it into something that's better for ourselves and for our families and for our community at large. We were supposed to have a conversation last week with my daughter, who was going to talk to us about shame, the elements of shame, a more in-depth look at what shame actually does to us, its effect on us, and how we can transmute that energy. In some cases, the purpose of why it would even be there to strengthen our muscles so that we would move from a place of shame into a place of authority and mastery of our own being, where shame, the elements of shame, the elements of that energy are no longer a part of our makeup. So prayerfully next week, we'll be able to have that conversation. We had some confusion and some things going on in the family, a little illness and so forth, and those things have been straightened out by the grace of God. So we're grateful to be able to return and have this next conversation with you now. Last time we were here, we were talking about being able to utilize our energies and move us forward regardless of our religious backgrounds, regardless of our spiritual understandings, but just a basic understanding of life itself and how to get ourselves from point A to point Z on this spiritual journey, recognizing that there will be mistakes and there will be things that are going on in our lives that at first we feel like we can't control. But as we move along in our spiritual journey, we begin to understand that we are actually making the choices that will determine the future in our now. Right at this moment, whatever we're thinking about and whatever our actions are, these things will determine exactly what it is our future will be looking like to us. So it behooves us to be very, very mindful of our moment right now in this space. Wherever you are looking at this or listening to this, you should be very, very aware of what it is you're doing, and to stop feeling as if the world is against you, one, and that two, you can't do anything about it. That consciousness of victimization is an insidious energy that moves us to and fro. And when we're tossed by the wind, as the Bible would say, we have two minds. It becomes a bipolar kind of existence where we're never focused in the center and balance of ourselves, so we can move ourselves forward by the graces of God, the energies of God that are within us, that are masterful in and of themselves. As Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within us, and we need to tap into that kingdom and allow that kingdom to expand out of us so that we can find ourselves evolved as human beings right here on this planet. It wasn't a wonderful thing to know this if we recognize that the seeds of life are already present in us, obviously, because there would be no life in us. But the kicker, the gem, the treasure is the fact that those seeds grow and they prosper and they flourish into so much more than our understanding is capable of handling at this consciousness level until we do some house cleaning within ourselves. My thinking today had to do with finding the courage to do what our souls are called for. It's the ability to, first of all, analyze what it is that we really are passionate about, and then to proceed from that understanding to do those things that find us realizing that very thing. If you have a passion to, help the homeless, it's not something that you just sit there and think about. Is something that you take action and you do. And whatever it may be, that's one of my examples, but whatever it may be, if you find yourself not doing it, if you find yourself unable to get to that place, then we need to take a look at why. One of the things that we notice throughout life that most of us are not doing the things we really want to do, whether it be a job, sometimes in the relationships, there's settling into things rather than really taking charge and being in control of your true desires and those true constructive desires playing out in your life. You're directing it because you want certain things to take place in your soul, in your life, in your experience. And as you think about these things, rather than being despondent and resentful because circumstances seem to not measure up for you to the things that you want to really accomplish and do, we settle in a passionless life, a life that has no energy, no excitement to it, and we just go day to day to day in the same old routines, feeling like we're stuck, unable to get ourselves and break ourselves free. But it's a beautiful thing to recognize that we have the ability to break ourselves free. That if we're in that kind of situation, we brought ourselves to it. Even if outside circumstances had led us there, there's an attitude within us that can change our outlook, that changes the quality of that outside circumstance until we make not only the best of that circumstance, because that's one step in doing it, but then we're able to leave the circumstance that we really don't care for and move on to the better places within our dreams. And these dreams, they don't happen in a vacuum. These dreams are true to the energies of the soul. They are visions, great energies of light and love that are given to us to explore ourselves and move ourselves forward and to add to the light of the world. But if we're in the passionless life, if we're bored, I like some of the words I wrote down here, just thinking of these things, it feels like slavery. We're unsatisfied. It's difficult to even do our best in these places because we have no drive to do so. And even though it is written that we should always give our excellence to whatever it is we're doing, it seems and feels very difficult to advance ourselves forward to make that happen. But if we throw ourselves with all of our power and strength into the constructive thing, even if it's something we really don't want to do, with an eye on going after the thing that we really want to do, we find ourselves working differently because the goal itself is the propelling elation within our own souls, the hope of something more than what we're in right now. And that hope alone can distinguish how we work and drive us to the better place. Now, the distinctions in terms of how we can work with despondency and hopelessness and dread and so forth and not see any way out. But these are all the things on the outside of our experience. The things that are on the inside of the experience are the very things that are the roadmaps that lead us out of the despondency into this light. It is the energy of God that is within us that would have us do that. And we would need to explore what are the things that are covering over that energy that we can take and lift off petals one by one. It's Om Mani Padme Om. It is that saying, I think it was the Dalai Lama who translated it loosely, behold the jewel within the lotus, where inside yourself, inside ourselves, there's a jewel of our perfection that is made into Christ's nature, just like God intended us to be. And the lotus petals are the difficulties, the things that have covered over this very essence that we are. And if we can gently peel each lotus petal off of ourselves, if we take the time in peace and with assertion, by the way, to take these petals off of ourselves, we find that in the center there is our true self emerging, flowering, and being and doing all the things that we ever have intended. God bless us for the ability. God blessed us with the ability. God encourages us to use these abilities, these powers within ourselves that transform, that create. We're made in the image of God, therefore we have the power to create as our creator. And that's the beautiful thing, to get us out of that sense of boredom and the drudgery of the daily thing that we really don't like, we really can't stand. But the attitude change, the seed that makes this thing work for us, the powerful change comes about when we take the time to start to address it from the inside out. We spend time quietly. We rehearse the things within ourselves that we really desire, and with each day, we start by vision to see it come about. We see it manifesting day to day to day. It is written that without a vision, the people perish, and certainly we can see why. Because we do not have any outlook, any hope for our future. But if we want to change what's going on today, it requires that we change what's going on today from the inside out, regardless of what's happening on the outside. The power of the Christ nature within you the power of the Buddhic nature within you, the power of the immaculacy of God after which we are made, is common to each and every man and woman. Therefore, we are all capable of doing that very thing, of changing our life, even through the most difficult of circumstances. And I know there are a number of us who have different levels of that difficulty that may make it seem impossible for us to get from point A to point B, let alone point Z. But rest assured, your power and the God power within you makes it possible. The God power within you assures it. You and me and all of us must assure ourselves that this is possible. And be patient in the transformation, because it took a minute to get us to the place where we feel so overwhelmed and so despondent and have so many things that are wrong. And since we are placed in that place over years and years and years of accumulated oppression and victimization of this kind of consciousness, now it takes a minute to change it over. But in the twinkling of an eye, because we make a determination, behold how beautiful, how quickly things can actually happen. When we change the company that we keep, if they're feeling negative all the time, and we surround ourselves with better company, if we start to associate socially with those who are more of a positive nature, who are doing the very kinds of things that we want to do. This is how we learn and grow together as community. And without community, we are certainly lost. There wouldn't be so many of us here if it wasn't necessary for us to experience so many of us here, if you follow me. So ask yourselves, where do you find excitement? What is the thing that moves you forward? And it's not the mask of alcohol or drugs or sex or any of those kinds of things that can derail the process by eventually having us fall into addictions that do not serve what the dream is about. They serve purposes in short periods. They're little Band-Aids that may make us feel a little better. I love a glass of wine. I like Irish whiskey, and that's fine. But if I start making it a habit on a 24/7, it becomes a detriment to my soul and system. And if I'm on a course of purification, it certainly doesn't serve me at all, as I want to grow closer and closer to my God presence, which finds me not needing any of those kinds of outside stimulants at all. And if all of us are truly seeking first that kingdom of God within us, the very energy and essence of who we are within us, we find ourselves happy and without the substitutes. We break the chains of any of the addictions that have been binding us all of these years. We break the chains of feeling victimization and all of those kinds of things that bound us up in our hearts and our minds and our soul for so many years. And we find ourselves delivered into a newer energy, and we find ourselves with a newer personality, and we find ourselves with a newer sense of well-being, and we find ourselves changed and born again into a brand new creature, someone that's almost unrecognizable to friends and not even to yourself, because you're not thinking the same way, you're not acting the same way, you're not doing the same kinds of things that kept that cycle going, but you found a way out. You connected yourself to more light. You connected yourself to more love. You connected yourself to life itself. Life itself, by definition, being purely beautiful, purely wonderful, and also, I might add, and most importantly, being what we make it. That's been the cliche saying for so long, and we kind of let it go over our heads. If our conditions are the way they are, they've been made by us and circumstances that we have allowed to come into us. But if we have the fortitude and the strength and the courage to make the change, even in the midst of families and communities and so forth that have been used to us being one kind of way, it takes a great deal of strength, spiritual strength, lots of love for the inside, a lot of love for the vision and the dream that is before us. It takes so much power and strength and consistency, the reaching into ourselves to make that change, a gut level determination, like you're lifting weights and it's the last 5 that you got to do, and you're determined to lift that spiritual weight up and to become this brand new creature. I say to you, and I want to encourage you, you can do it. We can all do it. If that wasn't true, it wouldn't have been written that it is possible. In every spiritual tradition that we know that speaks of love, it is possible for all of us to experience this change. And this change can come in the twinkling of an eye, But if we have to stay consistent, we stay persistent, because the secret to success is a consistency of this very purpose. And what is the purpose? It is digging into ourselves to find out what really drives us, what is the true passion that is within us, that has been seeded within us by God, and going for it and forward in it with abandon. God bless you. I hope this message has helped a little bit. I've been working through this very thing, and that's why I speak about it, because it's something that I'm training in to get myself from point A to point Z. And I want to start brand new and be fresh and be different and be made whole completely, without worries and doubts, without fears, without victimization sensibility. You're in freedom to be free, and we want you to like and subscribe. My producer, Dave Griffin, will be very happy I said that. And we hope that you stay blessed this week, and keep in mind the best part of yourselves is inside already. Just bring it out. God bless you. Peace be you. Peace be love. Namaste.